Let's hear it again for I Am All Right. A wonderful story. Again, directed by Krista Liney, a director of photography, Joshua Zimmerman, an additional camera by the Jolsons, Andrew Rowley, Benjamin Bruce, edited by Jay John, music by the Silent Comedy and Jeremiah Zimmerman. Again, thank you for bringing this film to us. And I'd like to welcome Krista Liney and Joshua Zimmerman up to the stage. We'll do a brief Q&A. Again, thanks everyone for coming out to this special moment. A world premiere, and then just a great story, a story that it's important to tell. And I want to thank you, Josh. It's kind of funny how you came to world premiere at the Oceanside International Film Festival. Just had you in as a guest on the radio show and talking about this idea and this film and how you might be sending it to the South by Southwest Film Festival and everything. And I said, hey, I reached out to you about that. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah, totally. It, obviously it's such a fun romp. Thank you guys for sitting through it. But it's something that we have been toying with for a bit because the band, we didn't play for years, and we were all scattered around the country and whatnot. And then we're starting to get more active, and my brother and I really decided to come back and write more music and record it. And so we're starting to play more shows, and we're starting to do things. And this chapter of our lives, and like the whole reason we dropped off the map, was something we never talked about. And as we started to come back, it's like we kept getting the question more and more, get back into music industry circles, and people who've been following our careers are like, what happened to you? Where did you go? And we have all this amazing footage, because I was in film school when the band started, and then our super talented friends like the Jolsons and different people we met along the way. Rich Cook's still photography, who Rich is here, and everyone was oohing and awing at his photo with the pelicans in an arc. It's like beautiful stuff. So we have all this beautiful material, and it seemed like it was better to just tell the story now and stop kind of alluding to it every time we do an interview or something, and just go, let's tell the story, and then we can move on and do other things.
Yeah, perfect time with the pandemic and all of it seemingly becoming more acceptable, thank goodness, for people to talk about mental well-being and get help and talk to friends and family. How did you, when you decided to start putting this together, how did you and Krista come together?
Well, Krista's been a big part of the band's life. She was a big part of our life. As you start to see the more fun footage when we were on the road, that's when we met Krista, and it was really when we were rocketing up towards our apex. And we did work together in some television campaigns, and then Krista directed music videos for us. And she's been close to the band for a long time and was around, not super close to us when this was happening, but got some of the weird emails that my brother was alluding to. And it just seemed right, because to talk to us and to broach this subject and stuff, we really couldn't have a stranger. It needed to be someone that the band was all comfortable with. And that was the greatest thing. It's like we were all able to be very open with Krista. And some of those, like my brother's interview session was like 5 hours long, and he hasn't talked about any of this since 2014 with anyone. So we needed someone who could handle that. And Krista was the perfect person for it.
And Krista, why did you agree to take it on? Was there...
I had a very natural curiosity about that period of time because I'd known them for so long, and I was tangentially kind of like around, but I never really quite knew what happened myself. So just to have that opportunity to sit down with everyone and really talk to them about what happened, what they were going through, what they were feeling, and just really what it was like. I can't imagine still to this day about having this incredible trajectory in their career, and it again, the band started as a hobby. It was just kind of just something they did for fun, and then it turned to not fun very quickly, and the stakes were so high. So
Right.
and you could tell I'm not used to having a microphone. I'm not a lead man.
He'll get used to it.
Okay.
It takes a little while.
And did you find it easy or difficult to push and to pull and to get the information out of people, honesty?
One of the things I love doing most in my job is actually interviewing people. I have a natural curiosity. I like to talk a lot. But it was, for me, I just was really curious, and I didn't have any misgivings about asking the hard questions. And fortunately, all of them were very open and willing to talk about it. I think it was cathartic in a way. I think they all maybe needed to. In some capacity or another. So I think it was very helpful. And our interview sessions lasted pretty long.
Yeah.
And I kind of made everyone cry at some point.
Well, it's good that you stuck with it and pulled those long sessions. And, you know, Joshua, you're an accomplished filmmaker, so the potential mistake could have been to just have you be the director and editor as well, and just do the film yourself.
Yeah, that would have been a mistake for sure. I didn't necessarily even want to be there in the room when this is happening because it has so much to do with me. And you know, we talked for many hours about a lot of things, and what I put those 4 guys through is not really explored fully enough in the film. But it was a very intense number of years, and I was not coping well with the stress, and I was taking it out on the people who were closest to me, who were my bandmates, and I wasn't even sure if they would do it, if they would talk about it, you know. And so to have me be the guy sitting across from him asking the questions would have been a mistake, I think.
Yeah, it would probably not.
I did edit it. I just edited it under a pseudonym. Which is a joke to the early days of the band. Like anyone who followed the band way back in the day, we all had fake names, so that was the joke with that.
Okay.
But I could kind of be the only one to edit it because there's like 15 years of material on all different hard drives. None of it was organized, and it was a real monster to try to find a lot of that stuff.
Knowing to grab which shot for which statement, things like that. Yeah,
and knowing what existed, and unfortunately too, it's like only like a tiny percentage of all the footage of our road years is
it's a great job editing,
screen.
J. John.
Yeah, exactly. That's my old
Got me on
pseudonym.
that one. But going through the story and hearing it, just the time I've spent in the music industry, so many similar stories. You know, it starts as it's fun, it means something, your friends, and then, you know, it becomes a commodity. It becomes, you know, the scrutiny, as you said, comes in, and it can be really raw. Do you have any stories of the scrutiny that you didn't put in there?
Yeah, there's a really important moment that kind of got cut out as the edit started to go along, and it's still an evolving process. There's a lot we want to still add to it of other voices, and especially some mental health professionals. But there's one really, really important story. It's kind of hard at the end of it to fit everything in about what we wanted to say about the industry. But I think the conversation around mental health is opening up, and that's a positive thing. But there's also just a tendency in the entertainment world to go like, oh, we threw a fundraiser for that, so it's okay now. And especially when you aren't generating enough money for the people who have the ability to do something about it, it can be very difficult to break through. And the hard part of the situation is it's the indie people like us and many of our friends and our peers who don't have the resources to get help. You know, people who've already crossed this threshold into making a ton of money have a lot of money to be able to take care of their mental well-being if they choose to, you know, if they're not Kanye West. But if like for us, it's really hard because we had no money. We were broke for years and years. And our former management company, which we specifically didn't name, extremely powerful, and they had talked to us a lot about needing to take care of yourself over the years. And when all this went down, they had dropped us, we didn't work together. And I called them up and asked for recommendations on therapists who could, who had experience working with musicians and whatnot. And They didn't respond at all to my emails or my calls, and instead they sent us a bill for almost $10,000 for unreported expenses that were actually against our contract. They weren't legally able to do that. And that was something that I cut out of it. Probably will make its way back in at some point. But like, that's the tough thing that you face.
Yeah.
Especially independent artists. Like it's a very dicey world when you're an indie band.
Yeah, absolutely. Krista?
Oh, I was about to say, J. John was very kind in that edit, I think.
Yeah, it's. I'll tell you after if you want to talk about it. I think I made an agreement with them. Maybe I signed it to not say the names on stage. But yeah, it's tough. It's difficult. And it's, I also don't harbor really any hard feelings towards those people either. Like I said, like it is a business. We knew that going into it. And it's not their responsibility. They're not our parents. They're executives.
Yeah.
So.
But, you would hope that somewhere along the way, whether it's the NFL or the NBA or the music business, there could be some sort of attention to, some guidance along the way, or, God forbid there be a requirement. But certainly, I've been in the same room where it's, please don't wear that shirt on, or I don't think they said please, but don't wear that shirt on stage. I think this one's more slimming on you for a band that I managed, or they sign you when they hear you, but then later on they want you to sound like something else. Being in the room where they said, I don't hear a Santa Monica or a lump, I don't think this is going to work out. Yeah. So it's that type of thing that keeps going.
Our manager said very specifically, make me a Lumineers record and I'll sell the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And he's a very nice guy, and he's an incredible figure in the industry, and he has broken some of the biggest bands in the world, so he knows what he's talking about. But we had told him at that time, we were like, the Lumineers are done. Everything we hear when we're on the road is, we're so happy you guys don't sound like the Lumineers. You could kick their ass, And so we would take that back to LA and go, that's what we're hearing from people in rooms. And they were like, no, just try to sound like them. So, it's an interesting and uniquely challenging landscape.
Yeah, the music business is, you're creating art, you're bearing your soul with your lyrics and the music, how you're creating it, and then to have somebody say that it's just not good enough, or they don't like the direction it's going in. But to move the subject.
Thank you.
But Krista, what's next for you? We'll get to what's next for you, but I want to hear what's next for you. This is a great project, probably going to some festivals with this.
Yes, we are still kind of continuing to evolve it a little bit, and we are going to continue to participate in festivals for sure, but we are actually in post on another documentary that we are doing that was shot in Ukraine in November. So it's going to be very interesting and very, very happy.
Yeah. Really, really looking forward to it. So that's your next project right now, that one? Anything else that you're working on?
Yes.
Lots of stuff.
Everything.
You're not allowed to say?
Everything all at once. We're developing some more content series for TV. We are actually, I'm just still directing, doing a lot of smaller projects, a lot of promos and commercials. That's the mainstay business for now. But yeah, we're really have embraced doing these longer format films. And we decided that we really, because Josh and I are partners in the business Maiden Creative, and we decided that we wanted just to start doing less disposable work. And by that I mean, like, those commercials, they're great to work on, they're kind of fun, but they're quick hits. And feeling now that we want to do something that's more substantive.
Something like that, yeah.
Close enough.
We
You know
understood.
what I mean. I'm trying to sound
But yeah,
smart.
have an impact, make a difference.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Can you give us a few sentences about the Ukraine project?
I haven't quite developed the elevator pitch for it yet because it's very hard to describe, but we somehow, it's a long story, but we became connected with some stand-up comedians who are in Ukraine. They live in Kyiv, and they are actually touring the country and performing for soldiers, for people on the front lines, to try to bring some levity and to bring some hope to this war-torn country. And it sounds, yeah.
Yeah, it's a war
complex.
documentary with laugh moments. It's a bit tough to describe. But.
That's beautiful. I was just worried. Yeah.
It's probably less heavy than this was.
Yeah.
When it's all said and done.
I get some emails and text here and there, and I'm going, gosh, I hope they make it back. I mean, my God.
Yeah, what's really interesting is that the people of Ukraine are very defiant, and so the one line that I keep using over and over is that they're laughing in spite of the war, not at it. So they're not taking it lightly. Their humor has become very dark and very pointed, but it's just this air of defiance, and it's a little punk rock too, that they're just kind of like, well, fuck it. This is what's happening. This is how we can kind of deal and cope with our cities being bombed and our country at war.
Amazing. Absolutely. Joshua, so this new album, new old
Yeah.
album.
So the album we were making when this happened became known as Enemies Multiply, and it's heavily thematic, and it's like just shy of being like a concept album. And it really is about everything that led into what, broke us. It's all kind of laid out in this record. And we shopped it around to a bunch of labels and stuff after we didn't have representation, and we couldn't find the right deal. And so we just sat on it for years. And then I called my brother from New York one time, and I think it was around when there was a change in political power in the country. And I said, it's stupid to just let this thing sit on a shelf. We put a lot of money into it. We almost, died from it. And we might as well just put it out, even if it's just for a few people to have. So we did a limited run of vinyl then, and that's been sold out for a while. So on April 14th, we're re-releasing it on vinyl, and it's getting a bigger push. It'll be in more stores around the country and potentially internationally and stuff as well, too. So we're putting that record back out. We're playing at the Casbah on April 14th to celebrate it. Shane Hall, who's here, is going to be playing with us on that show. And we're doing a bunch more tour dates. We have them online. We'll be back. It's not up online, but we'll be in Encinitas in August at Moonlight Beach. And we're doing more stuff. And we're trying to also just figure out what our band is now, what we have to say now, because we're all such different people. So we're recording a new record as well, and that'll probably be out around the end of the year. And trying to figure out a way to do it now that we're all old men.
Beautiful. Right? But have fun at it.
Totally.
Be friends again. Have a good time. Do it for the right thing and do it for the fans.
My personal creed with it is that if I start yelling at people again, it goes again.
Okay.
So it's much more fun now.
So we're going to give you all a moment to maybe take a pee break or grab another drink, and we're going to do okay, we could take some audience questions. Do we have any audience questions?
You could also take a pee break if you have to at the same time. It's all about health here tonight.
We won't deny you. Yeah. Question.
Not on? Yeah, there it is. Thank you. And I think I'm going to speak for myself and probably the entire audience when I say that, Joshua, I'm very grateful that you are very well loved.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my family, obviously my brother's in the band and my cousin's in the band, but my parents also were huge. I truly, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for them. And they took me, before I went to psychologists and psychiatrists, they took me in for 2 weeks and helped unravel all this stuff that was going on, and I'm extremely grateful for that. Sorry,
Well,
I took up
it's
time.
okay.
You have more
Am
to
I
say, I'm
supposed
sorry.
to go? I can go if you need me to. I just wanted to say one more thing. This is clearly an homage to them. It's a love letter to them. And I think it's from somebody, I've had people with mental health issues in my family. My father had Alzheimer's, whatnot. I know what it is to be around someone with acute psychosis, and I think this is going to be very helpful, and I'm very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and I really hope that from our standpoint, the band standpoint, the thing we're really hoping for is we really had our friends in the music world in mind when we were doing this, because like I was saying in the film, we found out people who were pretty close to us, we found out they had really similar experiences, but it was 4 years later, 5 years later, because they felt the same kind of pressure that they couldn't say anything because it would be a liability. And so it's really awesome that everything's changing in the media and the world where people can be more open.
Yeah. Get a question out here in back.
Oh, the mic is over there.
The mic is here. Hi. First of all, I just want to let you know that I have visitors with me tonight from New York. Some young gals here who, quote unquote, are so inspired. So thank you for that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
So just 2 questions. I'm a clinician, and I was looking for a little bit more content in the film itself from the clinical side, but that's just me, and it might be biased in that way. Are you, and I think you guys were talking earlier about that and exploring that, would you be willing to share a little bit more about just sort of on the treatment side, diagnostically? Obviously, you were going through a breakdown and tremendous stress that, probably most of us in the audience have gone through stress, but not like that. And also just really curious about your faith and, your father's influence, religion, just curious about that. Thank you.
Want to take the incorporating mental health side, and I'll take the other.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's one element that we felt was kind of lacking, that we could do a better job explaining just everything from signs to look for, what those were, the type of help that Josh received specifically, just in terms of his treatment, and talking a little bit about just the help in the process of getting better, because it was very much glossed over. So part of the next iteration that we plan to do is interviewing actual psychologists and psychiatrists and folks that can really help talk to this particular subject, and specifically with regards to music and artists.
Yeah, we didn't want to dig too deep into it as band guys because we're not professionals. So we really want to interview professionals, and there wasn't time to do it for this particular event, but that is on the list of stuff that will get incorporated. And the diagnosis side of it kind of sounds scarier than even the footages and stuff. So I usually don't. I want a professional to explain and give context around the diagnosis, because I usually don't use that language. But yeah, that's a great point, and that's really on our radar. And then the religion thing is, you could see it in when I became imbalanced. It's like all this stuff I was raised on came out in a way that was troubling for people to hear. Once someone starts quoting the book of Revelation, it's like not usually a good place to be in. But being a pastor's kid is like, it's very unique, and it's also something that runs through the music world. It's like we're talking with some members of Kings of Leon right now, and they're pastor's kids, and they have had some real breakdowns and troubles over the years. And Mumford & Sons, pastor's kids, all of these guys in the music world. So it's something that runs through it, but it comes with its own set of baggage, And it's something that it's hard to get into in a film of this length, but like there's a lot of baggage and a lot of trauma that we had that predated even the band starting, And that's something that hopefully in future iterations we'll be able to touch on more, but it's really tough in a certain time frame to get into all of that.
We can take one more question, I think.
Agree. Sorry, I'm going to take your job away from you, Lou. I called out someone's name. That was out of turn. I'm sorry.
There you go. You're doing a good job. Can you come tomorrow night too?
So I'm curious if you and the band members were using drugs and alcohol at the time when you were.
Yeah, that's another thing that unfortunately we should have spoke to more directly, and we did in the interviews. So I think you could tell in a lot of the tour footage, we use alcohol quite a lot. That became kind of a brand identifier of our band. We drank a lot. I think to a man, all of us never really have had a problem with it, and it's something we've talked about a lot, and we've kept in check quite a bit. We all were bartenders at some point, so we come from that kind of world. When we started touring really, really heavily, our drinking went down quite a bit because the show that we put on, we're already dehydrated. It's very difficult. I would lose my voice a lot. And so we got to a point over the real heavy touring years where we still had this media image that we partied a lot. And, every place we'd walk into, they'd have huge bottles for us and stuff, but we actually didn't drink that much when we got into the real heavy portion. Although in that last studio session, something that got a little lost in the edit, but will come back, is I was drinking a ton of caffeine, and then I was trying to self-regulate to kind of come down from it, and so I was drinking way more alcohol than I ever would in the studio. So normally, we don't really drink that much in the studio. We're like there to work. And so in that last session, I was using more, although I'm not really a drug guy. So like a lot of people have thought that I'm a cokehead and stuff over the years because I get very worked up and I'm very intense. I've never done cocaine. I've never done stimulants at all. It's not my thing. And so that was not what led to it. But yeah, like copious amounts of caffeine and alcohol were happening in the studio at that time.
And I definitely think both Justin and Jeremiah kind of mentioned it in this edit, talking about them, medicate away.
Totally.
And then when you're on tour like that, you do early, especially early on, you get used to it's just kind of free. There's a few free drinks. People are buying you drinks after, and so on, and it just becomes a mess. And you do have to turn around and realize that it is almost like the NFL, that you have to be an athlete to get through a tour.
Especially the kind of shows we're doing, like it is much more akin to being an athlete than being an artist. And in the early days, we drank a lot because we didn't have many shows and we were not very good, as we talked about in the thing. And then when the industry pressure kind of spotlight came on, we really got pretty disciplined, and we had a pretty disciplined kind of regimen. Although for the average person and for the mental health professionals, when I finally got treatment, our lifestyle still seemed excessive. But in the world that we were in, we seemed like grandmas compared to a lot of our friends.
Right. Well, thank you for the questions, everybody. Give us a moment. We're going to have the silent comedy perform a few songs for you in just a moment. So give us a second to get that set up. Again, thank you all for being here and supporting this wonderful film that's supporting a new way of speaking about the music business and being honest about mental well-being. So we'll be right back.
So we're going to do a few songs for you tonight, and we're going to do some that, feel right for this film, but are really my brother's songs. So we're going to do them in a fun, different way than we normally would. This first one, though, is from the first record we ever put out, so it's a really old one called River Rolls. It's time that faith forgot. My hand-stained heart will stop. And high on the hill, I'll soon be still, embraced by wooden bars. I loan myself to God, and I'll break their chopping blocks. Board in my train for a faster pace. I'll leave my worried lot. And the hair on the face of my father marks his way to the grave as it loses its color. But I've got a minute, you've got a cigarette. We sit as the river rolls by, oh Lord. We can sit as the river
rolls by. My bones, my face, my jaw will join the earth and rock. My family will say we missed the place. Boy held in our heart. And the hair on the face of my father marks his way to the grave as it loses its color. But I've got a minute. If you've got a cigarette, we'll sit as the river rolls by. Oh Lord, we can sit as the river rolls by. Sit as the river rolls by. Oh Lord, we can sit as the river rolls by. I love sad acoustic songs. So it's nice to play them because when we changed into our big rock show, we didn't get to play the sad acoustic songs that much. But we're going to do one that's off that last record, Enemies Multiply. I kind of ended out the film because it's really, my brother and I normally trade verses, and it's the most confessional that he and I kind of were about what we were going through in the moment. And so we're going to do that song for it. It's called Peace of Mind. When your fears are closing in and your life's a folding hand, you can't seem to start again. Hold on tight. When the ones you called your friends turn their backs to face the wind, and if nothing you pretend makes it right, when you're down and think you're drowning, give me your hand, and I'll give you mine. Every debt's too great to pay, every bone bound to break. Every labor, breath you take, steals all your time. When your words leave you betrayed, for the sun. When you're down and think you're drowning, give me your hand, and I'll give you mine. When you're out there, you feel surrounded, that's where you'll find it, your peace of mind. When you're down there, think you're drowning, that's where you're handed, and I'll give you mine. When you're out there, feel surrounded, that's where you'll find it, peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind, peace of mind. All right, we're gonna do just one more for you, and it's really tough without my brother because this is really his song. But because of the title of the film, it didn't seem right to not do it. So if we're gonna do an alternate version, and we could definitely use your help. So if you know this song and you want to sing it, let's sing it. I think, oh, you don't have a strap, huh? No, let's do it like this.
I can hook it. I can hook it.
Yeah? Should we stand up?
Yeah, we have this newfound camaraderie.
All right, we'll do it. We'll stand up. See, we can't stay not rowdy for any period of time. We just wanted to play in coffee shops, so that's how it happens. It gets out of hand. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you so much, Oceanside International Film Festival, for having us. And Lou and Carly and Sterling and the whole team have been so patient because this really was like a real tangential idea that they helped bring together for you tonight. So thank you guys so much for being here for the world premiere. We appreciate it. And it'll be out in like on the internet and stuff at some point, but it'll be kind of a drastically different film. So we're excited that you guys are really the only people to see this version. All right. We were walking in a circle hand in hand, and your feet were sinking deeper in the sand than mine. You sold me a mansion in your head. I'll cut your hair and you would dye it red as fire. It's a crackling fire. I would hold the phone so you were not alone. How to take you home, you shouldn't try. You'd smiled when you told me you were brave, and life was in other hands to save, not mine. Saw the mansion you had made me love ignite. As you were fading, it was growing bright with fire, fire, fire. It was a crackling fire. Your heart beats fade. Stopped leaving its trails. The last thing you exhale while you were alive. 'Cause I am alright, 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 I'm doing just fine. I am alright, 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 I'm doing just fine. Shane, thank you, sir. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. We really appreciate it. And we'd love to hang out with you and talk more about everything. So stick around if you can. Thank you so much.